it's okay. Our parents and us are one. David, Esther, Paul, who are you? If somebody was to ask you, Joel, go on, Joyce, Lee, Kennedy, Lydia, Margaret, tell me, who are you? If you are going to use one adjective to explain or express who you are, or to tell me who you are, how would you best describe yourself? How would you best describe who you are using one adjective? Too nice for my own good. Whoa, I like that. Okay, I get the questions that are coming in. Oh yes, and somebody said we went to school, Queen Elizabeth was alive, we came back and Queen Elizabeth is dead. Changes that take place. Okay, I hear you. The question that came from Bernard. Somebody says they're hot-tempered. Huyo ni ule usicheze naye. Ukisema kitu apendi, hapo hapo, they will give it to you. I love you, Shelley. Talking about being a go-getter, you are determined, you have direction, you have focus. Thank you, Adelaide. Confident that if I was to ask you now, can I hear your voice? You'd tell me, I was waiting to be given this opportunity. Very impatient and understanding and debative. Okay, so you challenge, you critically think, you think about things, and you like to get clarity. That is beautiful. Knows too much. You read a lot. There's knows too much. I've got to come. When No. Please don't take it negatively, because the way I've received it here, it is positive. I like to smile. I like to bring sunshine in people's lives. Thank you so much. Irene, calm and collected. We usually say cool, calm, and collected. For those of you here who watch football, there is one goalkeeper. I think he's called Allison from Liverpool. I used to find that guy so cool, calm, and collected. That guy comes into almost halfway into the pitch. He is so confident. He is so calm. So I usually call him cool, calm, and collected. So anonymous attendee, thank you. Somebody is quick-tempered, somebody is considerate. That means you think about other people before you think about yourself. I like calm. Oh, yes, thank you, Eve. Capable. You feel you have, the ability. That is great confidence or belief in yourself. Kind and generous and quick to forgive. The quiet kid in the class. But you might be the quiet kid in the class, but you're also somebody who is very, very observant. So don't take being quiet as something negative. Maybe you're one of these people who is able to analyze situations, to look at people's moods, because that is what you're observant. Curious, curiosity, beautiful. You're eager to learn, you want to know more. Understanding, you're calm, you're competitive. I'm an introvert. Okay, people are talking about big words now you've brought for me. Where? Hey, introvert. Okay, this is somebody, but an introvert is not necessarily. Sometimes people think that when you talk about an introvert, you talk about a quiet person. This is not a quiet person. When they're in a group of people, they will talk, but they more enjoy this, the pleasure of their own company. They like being on their own. They get the best pleasure when they're on their own. You'd have to speak on the quick Q&A, because chat is not, we're not able to do it from the source. So just do it on, give us the responses on the Q&A. I'll get to that. So thank you very much for who you are. And for those who have expressed who they are, you're in a good space. Sometimes we don't even know, we get a little confused about who we are and what our beliefs are. But who we are, and this is something I'd like you to take to listen carefully. All of us are different. You saw the different adjectives that people use. And just for your information, I've been informed that you can now use chat. It has been disabled. So please feel free to use chat now. Let us not use the Q&A, so that when it comes to the answering of the questions, I don't get lost in this. So in this particular case, so you can use a chat from now when we ask these questions. So who you are, you see the way in which we were able, thank you, Shelley, thank you, Caroline. So in this case, we note that we gave such different answers. Somebody talked about being quick-tempered. Another talked about being quiet and observant. Another one talked about being confident, and so on and so forth. So in this particular case, we noted from these responses that we are all different. We have different qualities. What makes us different, even just as individuals? What makes us different? There are various things that inform your personality. They inform who you become as an individual. What makes us so different? One, the first thing is our genes. Usually we have different genes, all of us. Genes we get from both our parents, our mother and our father. And when they come together, they make us who we are, right? Then also we have our gender. Are we male or are we female? So there are certain things that boys do, or there are certain the society demands that men behave in a certain way, or boys behave in a certain way, and girls behave in a certain way. So we are socialized in that way. That's what also makes us different. So you might find somebody who is caring and loves children, while somebody else, on the other hand, loves to play football or whatever it is they like to do, because perhaps that is something that is associated with their gender. So that makes us so different. Our genes that we get from our parents, we have really no choice about that. So we become who we become because of what we have inherited from our parents. And then after that, we then move into, we become different because of our gender, boys and girls. We have different responsibilities, but I'll touch on this a little later as we go on. So what else makes you who you are? That person who you said is quick-tempered, that person you said who is confident, that person who said is calm. The environment in which you grow up in. What is your environment? Are you from the suburbs? Do you live in town? Do you live in a particular estate? And therefore you pick up certain habits from that particular estate. Do you live in a secluded area? Do you live in a rural area? So the environment in which you grow up in usually informs who you become as an individual. And many of us come from different and diverse environments. Then what about your experiences? What have you experienced as you are growing? And you are still growing. In fact, right now, there's a growth bust inside you. Your mind is changing, your thought process is changing, your body is changing, your ideals are changing. You feel that your parents are still treating you like a baby and you don't want to be treated like a baby. You feel like, now I'm grown, I'm in high school, and therefore in this particular case, I need to be treated in a certain way. Yes, I agree, totally. You need to be treated in a certain way. But remember, my dear participants, I don't know whether I should call you girls and boys, because now if I call you girls and boys, you might start saying, Modoni, no. Nini, why are you calling us girls and boys? We are adults, we are moving on. And those of us who are probably 18 here are feeling, I'm almost now a citizen. I'm almost about to get my ID. Boys and girls near Shule, hapa tuko sisi. So I'm going to call you my honorable participants for the purposes of this meeting. But si tunajua pale tunafall. So in this particular case, let us appreciate that. So again, the experiences. What have been your experiences as you are growing up? What have you learned? What have you gone through? And there are many things that we go through, and maybe nobody has ever taken the time to find out how are you feeling about these things. And so when this morning I asked you how you are and how you are feeling, and wishing you a good morning, I was doing it with so much genuineness. Sometimes at this age, we feel like we are being ignored. We feel like, nobody is listening to what we are saying. And when you look at yourself, you say, nikona points, me nikona material, mona wanisikizi. Why are they saying my view? You see, the way in which we are, or what we're going through, is what is making us feel that nobody's listening to us. However, and you can be listened to. It really depends on how you put your points forward. Sometimes you feel like, my parents are being so unfair. Gosh, my parents are so strict. And it's because of what we're going through at this particular stage. But no, parents are not unfair. Man, your parents love you. They love you to pieces. They love you to bits. Maybe it's the conversation that we need to change. Maybe it's the language that we use that we need to change. Maybe it's the approach that we need to change. So when you're asking to do something, you need to weigh the pros and the cons of what you are asking. You need to be in a position to say, Mom, I want to go out. Out where? I want to go out for dancing. Dancing where? At night. They're being protective over you. It's not that they're cramping your space, and that is the way we feel, because you are still under their responsibilities. And things out there are not as good as we think. Out there, things are tough. But when we have that dialogue, instead of now, just going off your knocker and saying, you don't understand me, you don't understand me. And we like to use that, a lot. You don't understand me, you don't appreciate it, you don't talk to me, whatever. We go right onto the defensive instead of finding out exactly what is mom saying, exactly what is dad saying, where are they coming from. And again, if we have any parents here, maybe, we need to be calm about the way in which we handle this very, very delicate time. Our children are in a very, very delicate time. And by the way, work on our points. And if it's a debate, like the person here who told me they're a great debater, it is a time to bring out your debating skills. So there's nothing like, you don't trust me, mom, you don't trust me, dad. It's that because they are being protective over you. Now, at this particular stage in life is when we are able to get what we call our self-esteem, our self-worth. So when we're talking about self-worth, you know how somebody can tell you you're worthless? No, by the way, you are not worthless. You are worth quite a number of things. Your internal sense of being good enough. That is what you need to engineer within yourself. Yes, I am good enough. I am worthy. I believe in myself. So again, then we have our self-esteem, our overall opinion of yourself. My honorable participants, if you don't think much of yourself, how am I going to think high of you, right? So it's important that you have a positive opinion about yourself. Positivity knocks it out every time, being positive. But if you look at yourself in the mirror this morning, some of us are not completely awake. I saw there were some of us here giving me the emoji of zzz. But again, we wake up in the morning, we look at ourselves in the mirror. And when you look at yourselves and you say, gosh, my eyes are so big. Gosh, my eyes are so ugly. Yeah, you will walk around life believing you're ugly. And when I meet you, that is exactly what I will see. But no matter how you look at yourself, if you look at yourself that, okay, I'm good, I'm here, as a Nico, Senasana, believing in yourself, you having a positive opinion about yourself, how you feel about your abilities, and how you believe in your limitations. That is something that you need to know. We're not, we watch the Marvel movies, you and I, I'm sure. All of us have our heroes, Superman, then we have Spider-Man, then we have Wonder Woman, then we have, I don't know who else, they're there, all those superheroes that we talk about in DC and what are they called? The others, anyway. So in this particular case, We're not superheroes. We are simply human. And human is to error. And human is to constantly changing. So how you feel about yourself, you have great abilities. Each and every one of you has great abilities, but we also have our limitations. I cannot, for example, talk about being a great athlete. I am not. But when it comes to public speaking, when it comes to talking in front of people, I can talk. So that is my ability. But my limitation is that if we are going to have a race here, by the way, I'll tell you guys, I will get there when I get there. So we need to know that we have abilities, we have limitations. We need to also believe that we have the right to feel good. We have the right to be respected. So how self-esteem, it puts value on your own ideas and your own beliefs. So again, when you are presenting something that you want, if you believe it and believe in it strongly, not because other people have told you, but because of what you know about yourself. Nobody knows you better than you know yourself. But however, as we go through life, life is a learning process. Life is, so dynamic, as I said. You might discover now, you might discover in 10 years' time, you might discover in 20 years' time what you are capable of as an individual. As we get to that particular point, are there any pressing questions there that you think I need to handle, Charles? Any queries that have come up that you think I need to tackle at this particular point? I'm seeing some things coming up on chat. I don't know whether they are questions or they are comments.
These are comments.
Yeah. I like Peter Jovona telling me, bro, you know about DC and Marvel? Hiya, shock on your face. I know, let me tell you, Peter. Peter, age is nothing but a number. What? You need to remember that I have children. I also have grandchildren. And therefore, I'm one of those hip mothers, hip grandmothers. I move with the times. And so that I'm able to talk to you guys in this venue here, I have to be up to speed, man. Finger to the pulse that what is going on around, that I'm up to speed. Oh, yes. Thank you very much for that one. So, so how is your self-esteem? What is your value of yourself? How do you become your inner critic? That is important. Your inner critic, you are your first person to criticize yourself, all right? To criticize yourself. But again, the same person is also the one who will compliment you, okay? Who will compliment you. You need to compliment yourself. From time to time, give yourself a pat on the back. I've done well. I've done the best that I can. And that's what you have. Because right now, my dear people, you have the energy. Wait until you get to where I am, and you're looking for the energy and you cannot find it, and you say, why didn't I do it then? We can't have now the things that you want to do being done at my age. You need to be in a position to do what the best you can while you still have your faculties, while you still have, your I see there's a fight between DC and Marvel coming up in the chat. Hiya, let's get back to who asked me to give this example now. So everybody now,
yes.
Let's move from DC and Marvel. Okay,
they're both. I can see there are a couple of questions.
Yes.
In the chat.
Yes.
There's one asking. I have a question about talking about parents. What is the best way to discuss a long-standing issue you have with them?
Okay. As a long-standing issue you have with them, it depends on what the issue is. First thing is you need to, like when you're going for a debate or you're going to present something, even if it is to your parents, people that you live with, You need to be 100% prepared. You need to be calm. You need to listen also. You need to be able to speak and also have the gift of listening. What you need to do is that you will call your parents and tell them there is something that I need to talk to you about. However, if you find it perhaps a little difficult, maybe if you have an auntie or an uncle who you feel is close to you, you can go to them and tell them, there is this issue that I want to sort out. Is it possible for you to come on this particular day so that as I'm talking to mom, you stand in as the neutral party, or as I'm talking to dad, you stand in as the neutral party? Conversations always help. Rather than bottling it up. And right now, from where I sit, it is hurting you. It could have been words that were spoken to you. It could have been something that you were told, or a word that was given to you, or a way in which you are described, which really hurt you, which really put you down. And you've been carrying that burden. So who is suffering at this particular point in time? It is you. So it is important that you are able to reach out to them and then have a neutral atmosphere. It is not a confrontation, it is a conversation. So it should be a conversation. We need to talk to our parents, right? We need to have this conversation. We are under them. And sometimes let them see it from your point of view, as long as it is reasonable and within limits. Some of us usually, also on the other hand, if you feel that it is beyond, you can always request to see a therapist. And you can see a therapist because you're minors, then either on your own, and then eventually the therapist could call in the parent, so that with the background that you are in that particular enclosed environment.
Your voice is a bit muffled.
You're able to share that issue. Sorry?
Can't hear you quite clearly. Thank you.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Still the same.
Still the same?
Yeah.
I'm really shouting at the top of my voice.
I don't know if probably you could move your laptop closer to you.
Okay. And now? And now?
Okay, that's fine.
And now?
Not
okay.
much.
Okay.
Okay.
Guys are saying it's okay. Maybe it's you, Charles. Everybody
Probably
else is saying they can hear me. Maybe
okay.
It's your mic. Maybe it's your earphones. Okay.
Okay.
So I think I think I've more or less covered it. Maybe that would be the issue. Reach out, but then again, you need to be extremely calm. You need to not walk in shifting blame or throwing the blame on somebody else. Come in with, this is my issue. And sometimes, many times when you go with an issue, you need to be able to also have a solution. So when you're walking in, you're saying, this is the way I felt. Maybe if we had done it this other way, it would have been better. All right? Anything else? That's the first one. Any other question,
Charles? Yes, we are asking for your comments on where a 12-year-old destroyed their home because his phone was confiscated.
Okay. As I said again, conversations. Okay. When we're talking about a 12-year-old who destroyed a home because of a phone, I have a different opinion about a 12-year-old getting a phone, first and foremost. If I would request a time when I can also speak to parents. And I think that is something that is parents of teenagers, and so on. So this child is suppressed anger which then became manifested physically. This is a child who has not perhaps been allowed to express themselves. The child is not coming with habits that are foreign to them. This is something that they have picked up as they're walking along. Remember, a child is young. Showing these acts of violence is something that they have seen being done. There's something they have watched on TV. This is a child who is crying out for attention. And the attention has not been given to them because the phone was their center of, everything. So, but I cannot, for example, give a complete and 100% analysis on this until I'm in a position to find out what even now precipitated the phone. The child was expressing themselves in a negative manner, but what it was initially was a cry for help. They felt suffocated, and the way in which they could express themselves was there. So in that particular way. So again, before we get our children reacting in that way, have we been following up on what they're going through or what the disturbances that are there? So I don't know whether it is the parent who is asking that question or it is a child asking that question. This definitely is somebody who has a mental issue, not necessarily a mental disorder, but a mental issue. There is something disturbing this individual, and that is the best way in which they can describe it. And it is not dyslexia. Dyslexia is a slow learning process, and somebody learns at not the same rate or energy as the same milestones as a normal child, or what is considered to be a normal child. For example, when children are growing up, at the age of 6 months, they're expected to be sitting down. At the age of maybe 1 year, they're expected to stand up, to walk. At 8 months, there's a bit to crawl, and so on. But sometimes these milestones do not all happen at the same time, or at the designated time. There might be a bit of a delay, or they might even come earlier. Okay? Anything else that is pressing?
Zena is saying, how can I remember things? I really tend to forget things.
Okay. Forgetting is it's a sign that there is something that is preoccupying your mind. Okay? It's preoccupying your mind, and that's why you cannot remember certain things. Okay? So what you need to find out is, what is that is preoccupying your mind? What is at the back of your mind that is consuming you? But again, you need to remember that all of us have different abilities and different characteristics. So sometimes if you're finding somebody else, even within the same family, is somebody who is chap and a kunduka, it doesn't mean that you are like that person, even if you have the same father and the same mother. All of us are different in different ways. We have different qualities, as I said, we have different abilities, and that's what we need to appreciate. All right? Anything else? Okay, so when we're talking about mental health, what is it we are talking about? This includes our emotional, psychological, social well-being and stability. So it's not only the mind, it's how we operate with the mind, how we relate to others, that is social, the well-being and stability. So at that particular time, when you told me about that child who destroyed the house, there was a sense of instability. And this instability is the one that made them react in a certain way. They felt that they were feeling punished, and therefore they wanted to retaliate and punish. But there must have been something deeper or ingrained in them. And that's why I cannot really make that kind of a decision. So our mental health affects us. It affects how we think. It affects how we act or how we behave. And it affects how we handle different situations that we experience. Okay? What we experience as an individual, how we relate to others, and how we make choices. At the age of 13 to 18, I hear a lot of children at this age, and you are children, saying, Haki, I am stressed. women gonna stress, parents, my parents, stress, mother, stress, me at my auntie, stress, stress. And I would like to tell you here clearly that stress is not a bad thing. You guys have been talking about stress like it's a negative thing. No, it's because of the way we have been socialized to think that stress is mbaya. Stress is mbaya. If we're going to look at it from a psychological point of view, we're talking about stress is the impetus that makes you react when something out of the ordinary takes place, right? So everyday things take place. Today the sun is shining. Tomorrow there is rain. Today mommy comes home early. Tomorrow we are going on a trip. The next day auntie Anna coaches. The next day I'm not feeling well. Everything happens differently every day. But how do we handle it? If we become sick or we start having a cold, how do we behave? How do we react? How do we, accommodate that new situation that has presented itself to us, right? There are very many ways in which we can do this. But sometimes we become so negative. You get a cough, you start thinking, Aki, I'm dying. There's a here causing the COVID. Now I'm having a breathing problem. Now I've got this. You've already jumped to the conclusion that something negative is taking place within you. So that is when it becomes distress. And distress is harmful to you. Because mental health usually affects how we think, how we feel, and how we act. So if you have negative feelings, if you have negative thoughts, then of course negativity will come back to you. Mental health is important. It is important at every stage of your life. So it's not something that we should talk about when we are 50. It's not something we talk about when we are now in campus. It's not something that we talk about when we're married. Stress or mental health affects us from the very onset of our growth and development. Okay? Because the way in which remember I said, your environment affects you, who you become. So again, the environment, I don't know what environment and what experiences this 12-year-old had to make them behave in a certain way. So I'd need a bit of background on that particular situation. I'd need to hear it from both the child and maybe the parents who are who the child is under. What happened before that? Because we do not know of some of the things that happened to these individuals. In our absence, when we're out at work, it could be a traumatic experience, like that person who said that there is something that's a long-standing issue and I would like to talk. And you need to talk. Talking helps. Expressing yourself helps. It moves you from that danger zone to a different area. So over the course of your life, you will experience, even now as you're young as you are, you will experience mental health problems, which will affect your mood, it'll affect your behavior, it'll affect how you operate. You know how you go around saying you wake up in the morning, you're moodless. Me missing a mood, I am so, and we were able to see it. This happens among you, you are affected and your behavior patterns will change. So somebody or your parents come in and then you're like, there comes mom again. Already or there's that. I perhaps when my children were growing up, they used to know the mood that I was in by the way I used to drive into the house, into the compound. When I say, mood in mbaya. You see, she sat in the car for 2-3 minutes. So again, you have a responsibility, young girls and young boys, to know how to handle your parents, how to handle them too. Because remember, stress is not only for you. They are also going through things. So the parents too should be understanding of the changes that are taking place within various individuals. So what affects the way in which we handle ourselves? Our genes, our brain chemistry, that is one thing. Our experiences, whether we had a traumatic experience. We could have been, living in a particular area, and then suddenly we've had to move to another area. Why have we had to move? What has made us move from this area? We used to maybe have some privileges. We used to do things in a certain way, and then suddenly things have changed. Again, we need to have these conversations. Maybe like during the time of COVID, a good number of us, maybe we had our schools changed. Maybe the way in which we operated as individuals changed, right? And this was because of, maybe some financial constraints that people were going through. But the conversation must be held. And I hold this to the parents. If something is changing, we all need to be informed about the changes, because change is inevitable. Life has all these changes that take place. So sometimes we might have a family history of mental health issues, mental health problems that might also, cause us to behave in a certain way. There is also one thing we need to realize, that there is help available, and Charles will tell us where we can get help. Woo. Hey, okay, I'm seeing guys saying, hey, siku moja, Joe, somebody said they ran away from high school. So now when you ran away, where did you go? And then after that, when you went, did you come back home? Were you taken back to that high school? Why are you in that high school in the first place? We need to realize where we are and why we are where we are. And I don't want to put anybody down in this meeting, because this is supposed to be a conversation that is healthy. Maybe the grades that you got are the ones which took you to that particular institution. So you cannot, expect the chicken and sausage in that particular institution when that is not what you deserved. But did you explain it? Because high school is a different experience from home. I don't know that it is my time and we were fewer people. But the best years of my life, and this is, I'm telling you with all honesty, were when I was in high school. I miss those days. Those were the days, my friend. I thought they would never end. The real world, ladies and gentlemen, here, I'm going to call you now, ladies and gentlemen, is cruel. So what are some of the early warning signs? Because sometimes we do not know what is going on within ourselves. How are you sleeping? Have you looked at your sleeping patterns? Do you sleep too much or do you sleep too little? Are you feeling like you don't want to mix with anybody? You get into the house, you lock yourself in your room. You don't want to do any activities. Oh, let's go swimming today. Whereas swimming used to be very exciting for you, suddenly you're saying swimming, boring. Feeling numb, feeling like you have no energy, feeling like you don't like anything. And then the worst thing is, at this age, because you think that nobody's listening to you, you tend, or there's a possibility that you might begin to indulge in illegal substances, smoking and drinking, dangerous for you, which could lead to addiction. Some, I don't know whether anybody here has been involved, or you may have heard stories where children are called to school because their parents are called to school because their child has been seen with certain habits. And the parent cries tears because they do not know where they may have gone wrong. So feelings of confusion, that's why you need to express yourself when you feel that something is not right, as little as it may seem. Explain, talk about it. Talk about it. Find somebody to express. Some of us are afraid that it will become public news 411, but we do know that we have confidential lines that you can talk to somebody, express yourself. You know, we do not have choices when it came to, who our parents should be. And we want to live a good life. So at this particular point, we need to ensure that our home becomes our refuge. It doesn't become a torture chamber. So these experiences are expected, the changes that are taking place. Sometimes you find somebody begins to yell and to fight with family, with friends. And then you go walk around saying, nobody understands me. Make them understand you. You have a role. You know who you are. But the anger, the insult will not help you in any way. They will make you, move to negative repercussions on your body. So when somebody is usually mentally unwell, it sometimes begins to manifest in certain ways. I know some of you may have been suffering from headaches that you don't understand where they come from. You've been having stomach problems and you're wondering, easy ulcers, where did I develop them? You may be having backache and muscle pain, and you're wondering, mbona nasikia hivi? It could be because of something that is unresolved. It could be that stress which has moved to distress. It could be the changes that you're going or taking place in your body you do not understand, and nobody seems to understand. So it begins to manifest itself in your body. You start getting aches and pains, you become irritable. Sometimes for the girls, you might find that your menses are very, very irregular because, of so much that is going on in your head. Now, the mind is a very, very powerful tool. The mind has the ability to be extremely resilient. However, that same mind can only take so much. That is why I am saying it's important that you find an outlet for what you are going through. Okay? For what you are going through. So that it doesn't clog your mind. Because once it does that, it becomes explosive. And that's when, because you've been bottling things inside you, it manifests in your physical. You become a mental issue, because you've been thinking about it, now begins to manifest itself physically on your body. Okay. There are quite a few comments because I'm seeing people saying get back into the chat. What is happening in that side of the world, Charles?
Yes, there's a question here. I was so intoxicated with peer pressure, and I did something stupid and ran from home. And ever since, we've not been in good terms with my parents. They no longer trust me, even when I talk to my best friends. And when I'm with them, I'm not allowed to invite them into our house. Every time I step outside for a minute, all hell breaks loose. Even when I try to tell them and prove to them that I have changed, this doesn't seem to work. Honestly, I'm really tired. I don't know how to do. I don't know what to do. Please help.
Okay. For whoever it is, my dear, my young son or daughter, when you ran away from home, can you imagine how your parents felt? Can you imagine the void that was there for you, young girl? Can you imagine how worried they were? Can you imagine how they had so many sleepless nights? This is their child out there. They did not know where you were. And maybe they did not, once you came back, they did not know, will this happen again? Will she take us through this again? Where she was, did she not feel that we are adequate enough as her parents? But then again, you said you succumbed to peer pressure. What I also would like you to know, just as individuals, that peer pressure does not only come while you're a teenager. Peer pressure is there throughout people's existence. Even when children are small, you see children saying, let's throw stones. Then all of them pick up stones and start throwing. Small children, like 5 years old. Peer pressure is everywhere. So let us not say it. Maybe it's at its height when somebody is a teenager. So first of all is to find out what was the root cause that made somebody run away from home. Self-examine. What is it that made me succumb to the peer pressure? Is it something that your friends said that they were doing and you felt, mbona sisi hatufanyi vile wale wengine wanafanya? and therefore you wanted now to go and experience that life. But then somewhere along the line, you realize, your life high power, you decided to come back home. And I'm glad your parents were able to take you back. Now, it's not that they don't trust you, and I don't know, because I'd have to move into it and find out exactly how they're dealing with it and how you're dealing with it. And I would say this: actions speak louder than words. And the hurt usually doesn't, it's not like magic. You know, we see magicians at here, echo, then click of the fingers, it is gone. Everybody takes their own time to heal. So your parents are probably healing from the hurt that they felt. You are also healing from the hurt you may have caused or the experience that you had outside there. And if it was these friends who your parents are not sure of, then, by the way, as I'm saying, I'm getting back to your self-worth, your self-value, your self-esteem. You don't need them. You are a whole and complete person within yourself. So re-examine and begin to believe in yourself. That is important. And then there is nothing wrong in constantly repeating, Dad, Mom, I have changed. Watch this space. Dad, Mom, I have changed. Watch this space. And work towards it. We need our parents. Our parents need us. It is twofold. And we must respect both issues. Anything else? Burning South?
Yes, why is it that parents complain when we use our phones despite being in boarding schools?
They complain, exactly. I don't know what they're complaining about. I also complain about it at one point in time, and I'm telling you, I'm a parent too. It's because they feel like a lot of time is spent there. Maybe rather than, your phone has become your parent, your phone has become your entertainment, your phone has become your communication, your phone has become everything. The Alpha, you don't talk to me. We are living in the same house and you're sending me a text. Mom, I would like a new pair of shoes. Surely. How can I now like that phone? And you remember I'm the one who bought it for you. And then now you're writing me a text. We are in the same house, 2 meters away from me, and then you're writing me a text. Mom, we were told, really? I would also get upset. Why are you writing to me like, aren't we human? Can't we communicate? That now we've decided these gadgets are the ones we communicate by. And then again, there's so much that goes on social media. And sometimes your parents maybe are seeking just to protect you. They want to protect you. They would not have bought you that phone. So if it's mealtime and we're sitting at the table, and here we are, brr, kidogo, brr, and lo and behold, if you're 4 children, all teenagers in that house, so there's boo, di, brr, can we even eat? Even the food cannot be digested. So let us also be respectful of the space that we are in. That's why the parents get mad. Anything else? And you see, then if it is, then again, as parents, our parents should also be. If it is mealtime, no phones. It is mealtime, no phones for everybody. Usianze kusema timi niko job wewe ni if for that 30 minutes that we are eating, no phone. You know, if you're not at work, even to the parents, and this is maybe something that I would tell to them. There's no way, if something was burning, you're not fire brigade that utaenda uzime hiyo moto. You'd have to just make sure that somebody else does it. Mealtime is mealtime. Mealtime should be respected. So I think respect would move both ways, and that is what we need to move. However, we need to remember our positions. Our positions. We are the wards as teenagers. And because of the changes that are taking place, by the way, what you're feeling is not abnormal. That my parents don't understand me, that my parents are mean, that my parents, I don't even know, that I wish I could, we all went through that, right? But right now, I really appreciate my mother for what she is. And I understand why she did what she is. It was usually just for my own protection. but maybe we should have the conversation across the board. Anything else?
How do you deal with depression?
All right, then, okay. So what when we talk about mental health and mental wellness, we need to make sure that we positively, appreciate what we are going through as individuals. When we are positive in our thoughts, then of course we live our life positively. But many of us walk around with so much negativity in our lives. All right. When we are positive, we are able to realize our full potential. When we are positive, we are able to cope with the various stresses that appear in life. If we are positive, we're able to work productively in our schoolwork, in our homework, in our relationship work with our parents, with our siblings, and so on. We need to make meaningful contributions to our families, in our workplace, and ultimately our community. You are the people who are going to become the job owners in 10, 20, 30 years' time. We need some positivity in the way you think, in the way you move, in the way you accept things the way they are. It is not that the parents are right or wrong. I will not say. I think when your parents are doing what they're doing it for your benefit, not for your detriment. No parent would want to harm a child. Maybe it's the how that maybe seems to be a problem. And as I said, we need to find where can we reach out. This idea of feeling that you're lost and bewildered, it is almost a normal thing to happen. And even as we're talking about that, it's because of what is going on within your body, within the society. Man, life is changing. It is so diverse and it changes so regularly. So as I said, change can be good and change can be bad. It usually depends on how you as an individual handle this change. You as an individual realize that you are vulnerable, that you are susceptible, that you can, but in the same vein, you have the strength. You have the strength to deal with issues. Then you need to also remember, ladies and gentlemen, young ladies and gentlemen, youth, the teenagers, you need to remember that life is so dynamic. I'll say it again. Life will always change. Once, if you look at things now, in 5 years' time, you'll wonder, now what was stressing me at that particular time? Solutions can be found within yourselves. Solutions are not, in heaven. Solutions are here. You can deal with the issues at hand if only you are able to open up your mind to the changes that are taking place. Understand the space that your parents are in and why they're doing what they are doing, and then move on. Sometimes we as teenagers can be quite unreasonable. We want things that are beyond, the means because maybe everybody else is doing it. And sometimes that also doesn't augur well on your parent. Your expectations are higher. So I believe honesty and conversations should take place. This is what I require. This is what I need. Are we able to do this? And so on and so forth, right? Okay, somebody's talking about bullying, I see. There's a comment there.
Muthoni, your speaker has changed.
Somebody's talking about bullying. Bullying, I'm seeing bullying. Bullying, but you need to realize that anybody who bullies you is a coward. That person is a fully fledged coward, right? They're a person who doesn't have any belief within themselves. So, because of this, they tend to overexert their energies on other people. Okay? And because of this, they begin to, want to have their point to be heard. Okay? So, if there is somebody that is bullying you, it is not something to keep quiet about. If it is true and it is affecting your life, nobody has a right to interfere with who you are and what you are capable of doing. Nobody. And this is something that you need to report. If you keep quiet, you are facilitating that person to continue damaging your life. Okay. As I said, change is a mixture of uncertainty and opportunity. Ask yourself the following. When things are changing, what have I learned? When things have changed, does it improve me as an individual? Am I becoming a stronger person because of what is going on? Remember again that you are in control of your own destiny. Nobody else is in control of your own destiny. You have the power within yourself, the power within yourself to make a change, a positive change. You need to weigh the odds. I usually tell people, Jita Putano, how many times have you sat down with yourself? And I mean this, and not that I'm telling you to start talking to yourself as you walk in the streets. No, I'm saying call yourself, look at the positives, look at the negatives. What can I do to suppress the negatives or do away with the negatives, change them into positive action, all right? Life will never be easy. Life is a struggle. One thing we need to realize, hakuna smooth sailing, no. Things, as I said, change. And we need to change as things change. If we, sit down and resist the change, then we are, it's like we're pressing ourselves against a wooden wall. So what happens when we are in this particular state of not knowing, of not understanding, of not getting solutions? The high possibility of us sinking from the stress into a depression is very probable. Depression, my people, depression is not a good thing. And I know it's a terminology that you have used. You have told people, okay, I'm so stressed, I'm feeling depressed. And depression is not a nice place to be. It's a hard place to be. And sometimes because of the changes that are taking place within you, the possibility of you moving into that depression are very high. Because you feel like nobody loves me, nobody wants to hear me. I want to do these things, nobody seems to be listening to me, nobody is giving me these permissions. And therefore, I'm useless, I'm worthless, I'm helpless. You're not. I'm here to tell you you're not. What we need to find out is what is making you feel that way. What has happened to you that is making you feel that way? It could be something that was done to you. It could be a word that was spoken to you. But does that word make you who you are? No. Remember, you are beautiful, you are unique, you are made so, you have so many abilities. But sometimes when we don't go down to the root cause of everything that is going on within you, that is when the problems begin to occur. So depression is a very, very bad place to be. You lose self-confidence. You lose belief in yourself. You feel that you've got no one to go to. But is that true? No. You are able. There are people out there. You're not alone. You are not alone. We live in a society. We have help groups that you can reach out to, people you can talk to, who will give you a more realistic and positive way of looking at things. We need to be realistic as we move through life and find out the challenges that are there. This is what I say to people. There are some things that you cannot change, and there are others that you can change. If something is beyond your control or beyond the abilities that you have, let go of it. Why are we carrying burdens that we cannot even handle? Let go of it. All right? So, when we get into that depression, and just for your information, this is September is usually celebrated as the World's Suicide Month. And lots of us are getting into a place where we are giving up. Now, God gave you a purpose when you were brought up to this earth. There is a purpose. If you are unique and you're so different from everybody else around you, it means that there's something in you that the world needs to appreciate. So moving to a stage where we want to take our own lives is wrong, because we can find solutions to issues that are there. But because we have not been, we think sometimes we're being unreasonable. Nobody is saying that you're unreasonable. What you need to do is find the solutions to the issues that you are facing. Talk to someone. Talk helps. Stop bottling up things. Stop misinterpreting what is happening around you. Think positively. Think of the abilities that we have. Remember, again, we are not equal in our own abilities, in our own strength. All of us have different strengths. We have different qualities. We have different purposes. We have different directions to take. We have different upbringing. We have different backgrounds. So if you now are, say, comparing yourself to others, we say, what usually happens is that you become vain. You become vain. Being vain is not positive. You become bitter. Being bitter is not positive. Always remember that even as you walk around life, there will always be people who are greater and smaller or lesser than you. Always people who are greater and people who are lesser than you. You have the gifts that you have. There are some who may have different gifts. They may have people who are stronger gifts, but remember there are people who are lesser than you. So don't go around comparing yourself to people. Oh, I wish I was so and so. No, do not wish you were so and so. You are who you are, unique with the qualities that you have for the purpose which you have. So if you're not getting this in this particular, not doing this in this particular area, there is always something else that you're able to do. I like the way even within the chat I'm seeing some of us are encouraging each other. When we're talking about, I'm not so good in mathematics, so how do I help somebody who is not good in mathematics? Now, I'd like to ask you a question again. Yeah. In your 12, 13, or 18, or 17 years, have you, at any particular time in your life, lost something that was very, very dear to you? Lost something that was very, very dear to you? So the answer to this is either yes or no. So as they're answering that question, Charles, anything that is burning?
Yes. There's a question here. What about people who do not believe in God?
Okay, I don't know how to answer that. That's a statement.
Yes, this is a statement.
Yeah, I don't know how to answer. What about people who don't believe in God? I don't know what to say about that. That is their orientation. Just like how some people are saying that there is no global warming. Just like how some people believed that the earth is flat. Others say it is round, others say it is flat. Other people believe that there is life outside the earth. So people have different opinions and people are entitled to be respected for their different opinions, as long as it doesn't interfere with yours, with your perception, with your view. Remember, I said, all of us are individual and different because of our experiences, our orientation, our interactions, some of us here are number one in the family, some of us are the only child in the family, some of us have come up in rural areas, some of us have come out in the town, some of us in the suburbs, some of us in the estates. We grow in different environments, huh? And these different environments affect us in one way or another. But I say stick to your lane. Stick to your lane, what you believe in. Anything else?
Yes. How does, I think, peer pressure lead to anxiety?
Okay, now it is okay to be, by the way, that's what I'm telling you. There's sometimes that we've talked about certain things or we use certain words and we actually do not fully comprehend what those words mean. Now, everybody gets anxious. Even me, before I began this talk today, I was anxious. I was like, and it's not the first time I've done it. Charles knows that I've done this for the, I talk for my living. I talk. But now I was saying to myself, what if these teenagers, when I'm talking to them, they decide to black me out? What if these teenagers decide, I ask a question, nobody is responding? Kutakuwaje? How will I manage? 2 hours, these people were not talking to me. I was anxious. Now that feeling of anxiety is like you're anticipating almost something could go wrong, things might not move in the direction, so you begin almost to, you know, your blood begins to pump faster, your heart begins to pump faster. You're like, hi, will I manage? You start feeling like I'm with hands up sweat, bali. Then you're saying, will I manage? So the anxiety is a normal process. When it becomes bad is when you are not able to control it. Now, let's say, for example, my anxiety was so high that now when the meeting started, I tell Charles, Charles, maybe sit why it becomes, now I can't breathe, I can't operate, I can't think straight, then it becomes serious. So what you need to do is to know what your triggers are. What are your triggers? If this is only just triggering you, then you need to avoid it. If you need to have some calm or some quiet time, then if you need to drink a glass of water, drink a glass of water. Before you've just done your end of term examinations, were you anxious? Yes. It is a normal human reaction because there is an expectation, right? But you do not maybe feel that you are adequately prepared. And then you'll be surprised when the results come out, you say, okay, I did well. But if you entered the exam room and you picked up the pen and you couldn't write, then now it is serious. You may require to go for therapy so that you can deal with that anxiety. What is that underlying issue that is making you not think straight, that is bringing a certain degree of inadequacy, right? So anxiety is normal, but when it interferes with your normal operation, then maybe you'll need to seek help. Seek help from a therapist. Now, when you go to see a psychologist or a therapist or a counselor, it doesn't mean that you belong now. You know that's a problem. It's a stigma that is associated with mental illness. We all think of mental illness and we think, no. In fact, as it was said, I think earlier, 1 in every 4 people have suffered from a mental illness. So it is like something that happens to us. It is an illness, just like the way we can say, somebody has gotten malaria, somebody has got an upset stomach. You know, it's an almost normal thing, but we need to accept. Remember that the mind is the one that perceives and then reacts. So that is what happens. So we need to appreciate that mental health is just as important as physical health. So again, that anxiety, the question was in relation to peer pressure.
Yes. How does peer pressure lead to anxiety?
Okay. Sometimes it might raise it. It shouldn't, no. It might raise it because you want to fit in. Because when you're talking about pressure, peer pressure, it's wanting to fit in, to move with the in crowd, to move with the doers. And okay, I went home, I got an iPhone this. So you start getting anxious. I'm not adequate. Sitoshi Bay, because Mimi Nikona iPhone 6, who are on iPhone 14. By the way, they change very little. Those phones, they change very little over the years. So having an iPhone 6 does not make you less a person. Don't start giving pressure to your parents. So again, it may lead to anxiety in that way, but again, it still moves back to self-worth, self-belief, self-concept.
Thank you. There's another one. How do you deal with sexual assault?
With?
Sexual assault.
Assault?
Yes.
If somebody has experienced that in the group, I am very, very sorry. It is a traumatic experience. And usually what happens is that people who are assaulted sexually are assaulted by people they know, people who they are close to. So that even when you begin telling that story, everybody will look at you and say, Ati what? Ati who? Where watch a wongo? So it's unfortunate that happened. And one thing somebody needs to realize that it is not your fault. You are not to blame. What happens is that an individual who has been assaulted walks around feeling that they are to blame. They are the problem. They are the one who caused it. When somebody, a sick person, is the one who inflicted this injury on you. Once again, I will say, like I've said to all the other issues, do not keep it to yourself. It might sound like it's shameful, but the more you talk, the better you're able to deal with it. If you're not able to deal with it at an early stage, what happens is that it escalates and will affect your life later on. You may suffer from a mental condition known as PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. So you need to be careful. Deal with it now. Sometimes the assault may come when you're at the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong people. So what is the environment? Well, did somebody mess up your were you in a place where somebody put something in your drink or your soda or something and that made you unconscious? So again, the company that you keep is very, very important. And that's why I'm going back to the girl who said that her parents don't trust her. You see, they don't, because they're afraid. They're afraid of their experience. They want to protect you. And maybe at that particular time, they felt that they couldn't protect you. And the fact that you ran away, they felt inadequate as parents. That what is it that they were doing wrong? So don't, sometimes, we hit at our parents and we say, they don't know what they're doing. But when you're doing something, they get confused. What is it they say? That I've been there for my child. But maybe they've been there materially. Again, conversations must be held. Talk to the people. These are your first guardians. They need to help you. And if you feel you can't, talk to somebody independent. Tell your parent you want to go and see somebody who is totally independent. And somehow when you are able to resolve the issues or look at it in a larger scope and break it down, you are able then to adjust. I asked for yeses and nos. Did I get the yeses and the nos? And I'm seeing people talk about chemistry being hard. I don't know at what point I talked about chemistry. Okay. So I need you to get to a point where you are able to value and love yourself. When you're reacting, when something takes place or something happens to you, my question is, you ask yourself, or you need to ask yourself certain questions. When you're told something by your parent and then you decide, after I'm leaving, I'm going. Now, first of all, my question to you is, the reaction that you have just done, is it justified? Is it justified by facts? When you say my parent doesn't love me, what are the facts on the table? What proof do you have? Am I overreacting? That's why I'm saying you must always have conversations with yourself before you make a decision. Am I misinterpreting what I'm being told? Is there another way in which I can look at this situation? If my parent is telling me you can't go out and come at night, why? Maybe because of the dangers that are outside there. Maybe because I'm putting myself, in a position that something of harm may happen to me. Are you in control whenever you are asking to do something? Are you absolutely in control of the situation? If you're not in absolute control, then you need to think twice. Do I need to be more informed about where I'm going so that I'm able to deal and to cope better? These are things that you need to ask yourself. Now, I asked you if any of you had lost anything that was valuable. I don't know whether I got the yeses and the nos. Did I? This chat is so heavy with I don't know what. Nobody has given me the yeses and the nos. People here are just saying hello to each other. Yes, 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 yes. What is, somebody's asking what is IGCSE? Somebody lost their dog. I haven't lost anything. Yes, so there's yeses and nos. From this, I can see majorly that we have the yeses. So my next question is, how did the loss of that thing make you feel? What was the feeling or the emotion that was sparked off inside you? Did you laugh? Did you cry? Were you sad? Were you angry? Were you feeling like, oh no? Were you inconsolable? Were you refusing? No, it can't. No, like the person who lost their dog. Were you like shaking the dog and saying, wake up, wake up? Oh no, wake up, wake up. People have talked about losing their grandmother, yes. How did it make you feel? So I want to know the emotion that was sparked off inside you. How did it make you feel? Did you feel lost? Did you feel, why me? Did you feel, like, this should not be happening to me? Somebody said they're feeling bad. Somebody said she's still texting her grandmother. Cried in the room all day. Depressed, very low. Yes, we are sorry for their losses. Yeah, sad. You blame yourself. You don't believe it. You get into denial. And sometimes when we are held back from doing the things that we think we need to do, we feel lost. We feel hurt. We feel frustrated. You want to go somewhere and meet friends, your parent tells you no. You make plans, you ask for money, you're told no. So you feel like you have lost. You feel sad. Some of us now go to the extreme. We shouldn't. We should be in a position to have the conversation. Why can't this happen? It won't happen because 1, 2, 3, 4. You're given the points. At that point in time, they may not sound like they're making sense to you, but they will make sense in the future. Remember, I said we're at a very turbulent time. But remember, everybody passed through that stage. You're not alone. But at this point in time, you feel like you're absolutely alone, that nobody is listening, that nobody wants to hear what you have to say, that life is unfair, that life is not right, that why can't they see it from my point of view? That's how you feel. But remember, we are still wards. We are still under somebody's care. We should try as much as possible to stop behaving like victims. You know what I call a boishe attitude? This is something that happens. You walk around saying, "Whoa, poor me. Whoa, nobody loves me. Whoa, the whole world is against me. Whoa." That's a victim mentality. And as I said, things will also always change. So what we need to do is be more than just victims. Whatever is happening to you is happening to you just for a while. it will go. This too, we say, shall pass. So don't be a victim. Don't be a survivor, because a survivor also says, yeah, maybe, and maybe not, 50-50. What we need to be is navigators. You need to take control of your life. You need to walk through life looking at what the pros are and what the cons are. What can I do? What is within my ability and what is outside my jurisdiction? You are not, as I said, the what do we call them? The superheroes, the Marvel and the DCs. We are not. We are human. We feel bad. We feel lost. We feel angry. We feel sad. But we also are happy. We are also joyous. We are also conquerors. We are navigators of our lives. So please take that into consideration, that indeed you are powerful. Indeed, you have the ability. Indeed, you can move on, even in the most traumatic situations. Move through life like a navigator. Weigh the pros and the cons. What are you able to do? What are you not able to do? And whatever you are able to do, apply it and move on with it. Learn to know where to take control over your life. Let us not live life with hopelessness. Ask questions. Seek help. Talk to somebody who will guide you, a mentor that will help you move on from one direction to the next. Thank you, Diana. Your life is for the living. Live your life to the best. Have no regrets. The challenges will come along. But can you imagine when you overcome those challenges, how victorious you are? How much of an achiever you are? That over all the odds that were there, you were able to sail through. And you have the ability, by the way, because you have got so much energy in you. There is so much positivity in what you have as individuals. So that brings me to the end of my presentation, I believe. Lots of questions that are coming in, comments that are coming in, and I like the spirit that I'm seeing there. I don't know how long are we closing. What is the duration of this break? You know, you also got to remember this has been a very challenging year for all of you. You know, usually in school we have 3 terms in a year, yes? But now this year we had 4 terms, right? 4 terms in a year. Very brief holidays. But is it your fault? No. Is it the government's fault? No. When Corona came. And that messed up everything all across the board around the world. So it is not your fault. It is not the government's fault. It is not whoever's fault. It is the situation that we have right now. So when we get 4 terms in a year, don't start saying, oh, this is happening. Remember, it's also pressure on your parents. They've been used to paying fees for 3 terms. Now there's a 4th term. So realize that some of the issues that we are experiencing in the here and now today are not our own making. Let us also be appreciative of what our guardians and our parents are doing. Yesterday, the fuel prices went up, in case you didn't know. So by a big amount of money, electricity has also gone up. So can you imagine? You're not paying bills, but mkona stima kwenu. That's why you're still on this call, right? So let us also appreciate the people who are around us rather than hitting out at them. All right? And as I said, the different challenges that we face in life will make life always, different. Anything, Charles, that we need to pressingly answer?
We have 2.
Or comments?
Yes, there are 2 questions. How can a special needs team cope with low self-esteem?
Okay. First of all, of course, there's a quagmire of the child being a special needs child. right? Just as it were in general. However, what I would recommend is the child is able to go to see a psychologist or counselor or a therapist so that they're able to be introduced into what we call a treatment plan, where they're given activities that will help boost their self-esteem. That is my response.
Okay, thank you. Then
okay, I'm saying.
What would you do to try and help somebody from trying to self-delete themselves?
Self-delete?
Yes.
I think that's committing suicide. I think what we need to do is we need to find out what is the root cause, because when somebody moves into suicidal ideations, this is somebody who is suffering from depression. Depression could be brought about by a certain experience, a traumatic experience, or maybe something that happened to them, something that was done to them, something that was enacted, or something that they are going through, which has put them in that particular situation. And they have gotten to a point where they are feeling worthless and helpless and anything with less in it. And in this particular case, they're probably in a depression, and therefore they're feeling that they're not making any contribution. So what they need to know is that they are worthy. So building up their self-esteem again cannot be done on their own. Remember, already they have almost, committed themselves to being not a valid person. So again, the person will require the support. Support is extremely crucial. Support from the family, reassuring the family, but then again, when it moves into depression of such a low magnitude that somebody is feeling like, to use the terminologies, self-deleting, then in this particular case, they require to seek help from a professional.
Okay, thank you, Modoni. Thank you very much. Maybe I wanted to put up the flyer for our EAP center. Just give me 1 second. I hope it's visible.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So this is what we call our EAP center, whereby we have counselors. And in case you feel like you need to speak to somebody, feel free to call that toll-free number so that you can be able to get assistance. Then one thing I'll assure you is that the counselors will not come to say who called to the nitty-gritties of that discussion. So feel free to interact with them. There's what we call confidentiality. So if you have a pen and a paper somewhere, you can note that number down so that you can always reach out when need be. Thank you very much, Modoni, for that very insightful discussion. And also thank you very much to our participants for taking their time to log in and also getting to participate. The Q&A question section, we have lots and lots of questions, which probably we will organize for another third session, but that will come in after or during the next school holidays. Probably the next session will be for the parents so that they also get to hear what is required of them. So at this juncture, I wish to call this session to an end. And thank you very, very, very much.
Before you end it, somebody is saying that they can't see the number. Maybe you can read it out.
Let me read it out. It is 0800 72 0029. I'll repeat, 0800 72 0029. So I hope
and they need to know it is free.
Yes, it is free. It is free and it's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So anytime, any day of the week, if you feel you need to get help, then feel free to reach out to that number. Thank you.
All right, I also would like to thank you, Minette, for the opportunity, and also to thank all you distinguished ladies and gentlemen. You guys have been awesome. The chat has been alive. You guys are guys who are really woke, and it has been my pleasure spending my Saturday morning with you guys. You are just